in the chat.
I will do that.
Okay, okay. So, and are you ready to? Okay. We'll call this meeting to order. It's 5:05. I'll have the flag salute. We have no. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anna, please note that all 5 members of the board are here. We've got Dr. Yucca and JB here with us as well. And Rob, I'll turn the time over to you now.
So, thanks for having me. We're here to talk about it's a work session, so we're going to talk about your updated search. And since it's a work session, no decisions are made tonight. I'm just going to talk about kind of the process and give you some decisions that you'll need to make at an upcoming board meeting. So the last slide will kind of outline what those decisions need to be, and also kind of present different options that are possible for you, and answer any questions you have along the way. So if an idea comes up or something, just go ahead and ask away. Okay, so we won't save questions at the end. And I like to remind boards that you are who you are. So this is the most important decision you'll make this year is who the superintendent's going to be. So it's a big decision. And one of the things that I'll present a model to make quality decisions. There's some elements that you should follow, and I'll highlight what those are. And throughout the process, I'll kind of like say, hey, this is the reason why we're doing this step is because it's useful information, or here's a creative alternative, or have we thought straight about this? So they'll every decision you make is a risk because you don't know how it's going to turn out. But if you practice the elements of high quality, kind of highlight what those are in this presentation. So you have options on your hiring. Okay, so we're doing that. This is kind of on the scope of work that was approved. This was what was outlined on there. So we're doing the board presentation now where we kind of talk about your options, and we're going to be posting an application. And if there are any particular questions that you want on that application, we can work those in. Usually what a board will do is have maybe some 2 or 3 essay questions. So if there's a particular essay question that you think would be a good idea, that's again, that's something that we can decide and put in there. So that's an opportunity for people to be involved, either if there are people that are interested in being involved, or if that's you form a subgroup or a smaller group to kind of like review those questions prior to going in. That's one option, but that is whatever. If you want to customize the application, we can do that. So that's one element. Then we'll be recruiting candidates, and then we'll recruit candidates in the typical places of the OSBA, and we're gonna have my company will have a booth up at OSBA. So we'll be up there. A lot of times people look at that annual conference. People that are looking for superintendencies will kind of go towards people that have openings. So there may be a lot of other superintendents go to that, and so there'll be an opportunity to meet people there. This year, it looks like the Washington one I'm going to be at as well. So I see you're sporting Go Huskies this year. So we'll do that recruitment. We'll also do recruitment on Indeed, which is kind of a way to get a national interest for the position as well. And we'll do that. One of the things that I recommend, but it's optional, is a community survey. And a community survey will give your community an opportunity to indicate what they're looking for in their leader. So the places that I've done that, the boards appreciated having that data. And it also, the candidates also like being able to have access to that data because they get to know what kind of community, what they're interested in. So there's an open-ended question on that survey. So members of the community can say what they're looking for, and that's helpful as superintendents are looking for a fit to be able to see what the committee is like and interested in. There'll be a candidate screening that we'll do, first round of interviews, reference checking. And then there's a visitation day, which is a time for the candidates to come and spend a day in the community, and we can set up different special groups for them to meet. We can set up a forum so that people can ask questions, and then you as board members can kind of observe different things and get that feedback. So that's a pretty popular thing to do. And then the final interview, which is generally just with the board. This is, your decision at the end of the day. And then entering into contract negotiations. So that is, some boards have kind of an attorney they work with to negotiate contracts. My firm can do contract negotiation. Again, it's an optional thing if you're interested. And executive coaching is something also that is helpful for new superintendents to have, like someone they can call to help work through things. That's again an optional thing, but I found it helpful. So those are some of the different choices you have. And any questions about any of that? Okay. So this process is designed to give you great candidates. And the reason that we've had success with the places we've been with is because we tailor the process to what you're looking for. So the first thing we'll do is build out a timeline with all the activities and dates and a range of how long each one will take. So we'll have it's like we're building a house. We're going to have a project plan, and then we'll manage our way through the plan. So one of the first, this is one that I did at Harrisburg last year. They started in December, and they had their, if you look at the date, they had their candidate before the board to have their contract done before spring break. So you guys are early. And so you'll want to that's one of the first decisions you'll make is when do you want this to go live and what is your target date? So a good pace is, 90 days, 3 months for something like this. This one was a little bit longer than that. The fastest one I've done is fastest full search I did was in North Bend last year, where we started in April and we finished by June. So that was like 50 days, 60 days. That was busy, but doable. But that was, you're not in that position because you've got all year, you can kind of pick your time. So that is good. And so that's something that a good times to start is, you could start as early as mid-November, early December, that sort of thing. So you could try to wrap it up by the end of February. So those are some options. One of the things that we do on this community survey is we have those open-ended questions, but we also have research-driven responses that the community can kind of say what they're looking for, where they rank elements of good leadership, right? So in this particular search, there's, of these 5 elements, do you want somebody to bring new ideas and ways of doing things, to empower others, have a strong vision, get results, or be an instructional leader? Those are all good things. And so they have to kind of rank them against each other. And this is just an example that this committee was looking for someone that would have a strong vision, mission, and values. That was their number 1. And so when you start interviewing candidates and designing questions, you can make sure to have questions aligned to what the community is looking for. So that's kind of why we do that.
And all that information comes off your community survey.
Yeah, that comes off the community survey. So we have, these are, the types of questions that we have them kind of rank what they're looking for. We also get to know like who's participating in that survey, right? Is it classified staff members, certified administrator, parent? So you get a view of that. Like in this particular one, there wasn't a lot of community people that got involved. It was mostly just kind of low key search, just staff members. But the one in North Bend, that community member was the highest. It was like 60%, because that was like a high profile search. Okay, so this is what happens at the forum, at the visitation day. You know, had great turnout of people. This is a small district that had a really good turnout. And so they learn about, the person does a presentation on who they are as a leader, 10 or 15 minutes, and then there's open-ended questions, or sometimes there's questions that people submit, just how you want to set it up. And then as a board member, you just watch, and you just learn. And so, and then each one of the people that participate give feedback on the candidates. So these visitation days are, you know, you can do up 2 to 4 people, candidates, finalists. 4 is a pretty busy day, but we've been able to do 4 before. That's the highest. I wouldn't go any higher than that, because you want to have it narrowed down. So you have this screening process. I've had some boards that say, Rob, we just want you to screen them for us. Give us the top 8 or 10. And then other boards were like, we want to see every application. And so whatever you decide as a board, that's how we'll do it. So that's one of the decisions you need to make is how you want to do that.
Yeah, in the past, we have used a community screening committee, which also had classified staff, so
Yeah.
and board members. We're doing those to give the board feedback on our selections. I think we're open to that.
Yeah,
process.
yeah, it's your process. So if that's what do you want to do, you can do that. So you can have participation. So you might have 1 or 2 of you be a part of that. You all could be a part of it. You could, none of you be a part of it, just have screeners come and bring it. Either way, I'll be working with whatever group of people is determined to be a part of the screening. If that's how you do it, then I'll just work with that group. So I have confidential agreements. Anyone that participates, you know, they have to sign that they're not going to share any information, and made confidential, and it's a electronic things, so that it's, explain to them how important it is to be confidential and something like that. So there'll be people who will not be interested in applying if their name's gonna get out that they're applying. So I mean, there's some, I think Salem last year did a closed search all the way to the end where only the board was involved. But that's pretty unusual. Usually boards like to include, community members. Yeah, these are tricky seats. And both sides.
One, we got a bad table. They take and they go to write it.
So yeah, so Scott, that's something, sometimes the HR department would like say, hey, here's a group of people that are interested in being involved. Other boards have seen a list of names, and then they've nominated and picked people in a public session, like who was going to be involved. So there's a lot of different ways to do that. In the North Bend one, one of the questions on the community survey is, would you be interested in being involved in either screening or interviews? And in North Bend, they had like over 60 people that expressed an interest. And so what we did is we had each of those people write a couple of sentences, the tweet, right? A couple of sentences on why they want to be involved, provided all that information to the board, and then in a public meeting, the board nominated and voted on the people to participate. So that's the most transparent you could be with something like this.
How many people make up a committee like if you did? Or what was your average?
Yeah, you could, it's harder if you get a big committee. It's more challenging to work with, but the biggest one I've had was like 21 people down in Days Creek, super small community. They all want to be involved. So we had the board plus, but that's like how I design the searches is what you want to do. So, and I can work with, like I said, I've worked with big groups and small groups. There's just different strategies depending on who you're working with. So,
I think we believe committee, we had around 25. It was a little smaller when service committee because there was less applicants. But we had a huge number of the screen and a huge number of committee members helping the screen.
so those are all decisions to be made on, when you have your board meeting, how you want to do it.
Sorry, can you give me an idea of what that looked like?
So it was, they had the resumes all set up in plastic trays in a folder, and you'd come in. And you'd sit down and it was all board members plus community members, and we'd go through and have a rating sheet. So you would read the resume and you would fill out the rating sheet at the end, and then turn the rating sheet to the numerical analysis of what everybody had said.
Yeah.
And they had comments, there were comments you fill in and have.
Yeah, and now in the age of technology, those are things that it's with the non-disclosure sheets, and so, we can send those things, they could score electronically, and then come together to review and discuss it and rank the people. So there's a lot of different ways to do that.
And you do have to have the pre-training to talk about confidentiality. And then you have to have some sort of training for the reviewers about things like you can't talk about people's race or religion or some of those things. Some people know what their boundaries are. So don't put it in comments where and say this whole scores will get thrown out the window for that.
Okay. And how'd you come up with the 25 people? Was it just a collection of?
I think there were certain groups who were represented. There was mostly community members, but all the board was in there. And then there was a certified revenue, classified revenue too. And the rest were community volunteers for the most part.
Okay. Did you appoint them or did they volunteer?
There was, otherwise we would have had management.
Right.
So when we collected it, I like that idea.
Yeah.
Make them take the survey and check the box.
Yeah, check the box.
Can't even take the survey, you probably won't show up to do that. With you. And then you have everybody make lists.
And then you have your resume lists and emails out.
I like that.
So, so that's the visitation day. We also will create a custom flyer for you on, that advertises the search. And it invites people to take this community survey. We also use to promote the position, so it has a link to the application. Create the QR code so people can put their phone and take the survey, super easy. We'll ask you to put on your website, that sort of thing, so it gets out there to everybody. We'll build the timeline so people can know when the activities are and all that stuff. Okay, so there's that. So here's a few things on making quality decisions. This is the framework that I was telling you about. So think about the best decision that you made in the last year. Right, yeah. Now think about like the worst decision, like the decision that was a bad one. Got something in mind. I'm not gonna make you share it, but life is about decisions, right? And how do you know if it was a good decision? Most people will say, well, based on what happened, based on the outcome. Okay, that's what makes sense. But actually, the quality of decision is made at the time you make it. Okay, it's not it. That's how we make better decisions, is doing the pre-work of making that decision. So this is something that we do a lot of teaching with ninth graders. That's a crucial age to help them learn how to make quality decisions, right? And this is the framework that we try to help them understand is what goes into a good decision. There are 6 things in this framework, and this is all coming from this Decision Education Foundation. This is where this model is, and the model is, it's probably been about 30 years that they've been working on this, and there's all kinds of resources there. And the model actually came out of industry, you know, for a big actual big oil companies that were, every decision they made was like a multi-million-dollar decision. So they had to make high quality ones. And these are the elements that would go into making an important decision, like hiring a superintendent. So you start kind of with helpful frame, which is, what are we deciding? And then you look at your values, like what's important to you. And you can see that the survey that we do is going to identify your values, right? That's why we do the survey, so that you know what is important to the community. And then also you as a board, you know, what are the things that you're looking for in your next leader? Creative alternatives are your choices, so that's going to be your candidate. Useful information is everything that we do will give us useful information, the application, reference checking, the things that what's on their resume, the visitation day. Some boards actually go and visit where a person is from, to see like how their district is running. And I've had boards do that sort of work, and you guys are enough ahead of the curve where if that's something that some of you are interested in, we can arrange it. So sound reasoning is when you pull everything together. And one of the signs of a quality decision is it makes sense and it feels right. You know, makes sense to the head, common sense, and then you feel good about that. And then you do your commitment to follow up there, and you get that contract going. So those are the areas. And when you make a quality decision, you work on all of these areas. And sometimes you keep working on them until you feel like you're never 100% on everything, right? If you could see the future, then you wouldn't have to make a decision because you'd know what to do. But that's not how life works. And so if we can look on these areas and get more to getting the information we need, like there may be, you know, when you get down to two candidates, it may be like, hey, we really need more information about the references here, or we need more information about can this person, and then that's, you know, we do that through the process of the screening, the interviews, the final interview. So there's all different ways that we'll work through this process from beginning to end. Okay. So when we think of the problem we're trying to solve, you know, you're looking to hire a superintendent, a permanent one that'll stay for a while, right? And who's making the decision? You five. And how will things change? Well, this is a big decision. It's the direction of the district is at balance. It's going to impact a lot of people. It's a permanent decision. I mean, you can go fix it later, but that's not pleasant. So you want to make a good quality decision right out of the get-go. So that's the frame we're looking at. Questions about that? The next element is the values. So this survey will identify values. So this is an example of one of the things that we look at in this survey. This is more just what you think. It's based on research. So we know that a quality leader can lead and manage. They can do both things, right? So some things are leadership elements, building relationships, ability to lead, facilitate, ability to have difficult conversations. And so when the person takes the survey, they'll kind of put check marks on what they think is most important for Crook County. And then when the survey is done, this is, as you can see, sorted by the one that got the most responses. So, you know, every community is different, and all of those things are important, but some things are more important than others based on where you're at in Crook County. So that's the leadership portion. You'll get this data from the survey, and the screeners would have this data. So when they're screening applications, they'd be able to look at, oh, the committee said this, and here's the evidence of this in this person's application package. So that would help, might increase their score. Here's the management section. You know, when I think of leadership management, leaders set a vision, managers get things done, both are important. So. And usually someone is, that's why you have a team, so you can work on it together. This is the question where it asks if they're interested to be on the screening or interview. And we had a lot of people that were interested in one or both of those. So the board used this information to pick who was going to be involved. In this setting, the board selected it, but you could have the list. You could hand the list over to Dwayne and Jay, and then they could bring a list back to you that you would approve in a board meeting. There's all different types of ways to do it. As long as at the end of the day, you're approving, you're voting. And anything that you decide is done in public. Okay. So visitation day, we also collect information as people participate in that. And so, as you can see from this example, there was a lot of community, more community than the other elements. This is down in North Bend. And then the board was able to look at all that data, and, you know, they were the only ones that saw it. No one else saw it but the board. And they, you know, because it's not a vote, right? This is your selection. So they just use that data as input to make their pick. So people definitely had input into the decision, but at the end of the day, it's you five decide who your leader's going to be. Questions on that? We also asked them if they're new to the community or have been there a long time, and so you can see that, you know, most of the people that were participating have been there a long time, and really want what is best for the community. These are the different elements that they had. They had school visits, community forums, a meet and greet, district tour, etc. So one of the ways that we're going to try to, we talked about this already a little bit, recruiting is creative alternatives, try to get you as many high quality candidates as possible. So we'll do that with the community flyer, the different websites. I've got a pretty extensive network that I'll be asking people if they're interested in this job, and, you know, I'll be marketing this position and trying to get you great people. Useful information. These are all things that go into that element of the decision-making chain. And then sound reasoning is putting it all together, helping you think that through. And then the final element is commitment to follow through, and that's when you get the contract negotiated and then decide on what kind of support the new leader is going to have. So those are the big 6 things that we're working on. And all the different elements. So these are your decisions. You're going to need to decide the target date to open, that you want the application live. You're going to need to decide the date that you want to try to approve it at a board meeting, the contract. So that's like the date that the final decision is made. Whether or not to do the community survey. And I would say that if you're going to involve other people besides yourselves, you should do the community survey. Visitation day is, again, I think, a good way to get additional information. I think you'll get a better, you'll feel better about the decision. You'll have more information by doing something like that. You'll need to decide on the salary range, kind of a minimum to maximum range, because when we publicize a job, we'll need to have that range publicized. And I think that's something that Jay can help with. I was talking to him a little bit about that. He's got some ideas, but you'll need to vote on that. What that would be. And then, yeah, absolutely, yeah. And I can send a PDF of these slides too. So
Be helpful to all of us later
Yeah.
when we're trying to figure
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, I'll send it to you, but if you can give me your email address, Anna, that'd be great. And then, as far as the process goes, is it gonna be closed, board only, where you're doing everything, or open, board selects people to help with different components? So,
When you're doing recruiting, do you ever look outside of the Oregon, Washington area?
yeah, you know, when I do the, I have, an account on Indeed, and that kind of goes all over, and we've been able to get, matter of fact, there's someone interested in Texas in the special ed position that's posted, so. Yeah, see if that pans out, but yeah, we're able to get beyond the region and there's, you know, every, just like Oregon has an OSBA, School Board Association, every state has one, and you can get on those states, list of open jobs to kind of drive some interest here too. So I'll probably try to get on the California, Washington one.
I've done several searches and it always seems like we have a plethora of candidates coming from Alaska and
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah. One of those,
Not me there anymore.
Yeah.
It's-
you know, there does tend to be an Oregon bias when people are looking at candidates, because it's like, well, they're from somewhere else, do they know? But, you know, people do like to move here to Oregon, and, you know, this is a nice area in terms of, you know, the high desert and all the different things going on in this area of the state, so I think we could get some quality people and again, you're not looking for someone to do all the jobs, you're looking for someone to do one job, and that's, you know, lead the district. And so if they're a high quality person, they can, you know, you've got high quality people in the roles, then they don't need to know all the answers, but they need to know how to lead and manage people to you know, be your one employee. So. So those are kind of the prepared slides I had. Questions, thoughts, ideas?
What's the state of the pool out there?
You know, the pool is not super deep, but it's high quality. So the searches I did last spring, I think every board would say they're happy with who they ended up with. And you know, the numbers range from, you know, 8 to 12 people applying, but people were high quality. I think the days are gone when you're gonna see 25, 30 applicants for jobs. But like I tell folks, is you only need one, right? And you need a good one. And so we'll get you some, you know, a group that is high quality, and it may not be deep, but it should be quality enough to do the job.
And in order to maximize our potential for attention, is there a time that's better than others gonna ask?
Yeah.
Time's on our side.
Yeah,
What's-
time's on your side, yeah.
Where's that sweet spot?
Yeah, I think going out, you know, letting people like, you know, the OSBA conference is coming up, second week in November, and I'm gonna be up there. And, you know, if I had a flyer up there that was advertised in this position, that would be great, because, I'd be able to talk to a lot of people and just people would know that it's out there. And it's totally doable on my end to put that together. So that's not, we've got plenty of time. But if you were to target that and say the job opened, you know, a lot of times people work on these things during their breaks, right? So they'll, you know, during Thanksgiving break, they're doing the application, or during the winter holiday. So, you know, if we opened it up, you know, prior, you know, November 15th or somewhere around there, or November 30th, and in that range. And kept it open till January, it's 6 to 8 weeks, then I think you'd have as good as pool as you can get.
So that flyer would just be saying, hey, this is coming open, just so you know.
This is coming open, and then we would pick we go back to that timeline slide. And we would pick, okay, when are we pushing this out to the community, right? So we've decided to do a community survey, and so when's the best time to do that? And then that's working with the district on, everyone knows this is what you're doing this year, right? This is the work for the years, is hiring this position. So, probably, you want to do it before December. So, because people kind of like get into winter break mode, but when are your parent conferences?
October and March.
The end of October?
Yeah. I think, or is it November? I'm trying to remember what it is.
It's usually November.
Is it always November? Is it? I'm trying to remember. Does that come up right behind? Yeah. Just make everybody complain.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you had like the flyer and the survey ready to go at parent conferences, that would be a good, because people are in the schools and thinking about, the schools around that time. So that would be a good window to do that.
Rob, when do you go to the Washington?
The Washington one is the week after the Oregon one. So the Washington one is the 16th of November, 16th, 17th, 18th.
So we would really want to get things rolling like early November.
October's our work month.
Yeah.
Get your flyer, but you're going to open it until
Right.
the dates you pick.
Yeah.
At least get those flyers in hand out.
Yeah.
Create the attention.
Mhm.
Do you have a questionnaire or something that we could work off of for what you want in those flyers?
Yeah, the flyers are, just points people to Prineville, and I'll look through your website and I'll pick out, highlights. Do you have a strategic plan on your website, or, you might like that? So the flyer doesn't necessarily have, doesn't get super specific on what is in the application. It just kind of draws people's attention to the community and how many kids are in this district and that sort of thing. So that's kind of so I don't need a lot of real specifics on the flyer. As far as the questions, I like to have a couple of 2 or 3 open-ended questions on the application itself. So you can see a person's, how they think about things. In terms of, and so the questions for a place like Cook County would be, kind of this combination of rural, city, that sort of thing. But if there was any particular question that you felt, hey, we want this question to ask on the application, then that would be something to bring up at the next board meeting. Like, hey, we want this question to be what applicants fill out. But, so I have some standard ones, but
Did you send us them?
yeah, I can send you ones that used to pass, and then you can have them at your next board meeting and kind of say, hey, these 3 work, or let's create a new one.
Yeah.
So I'll send you that.
Beneficial.
A cap of 3.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more than 15.
Well, you don't want to make the application too challenging for people to fill out, of course, in the world of ChatGPT these days, right? Who's writing what, but you can kind of tell a little bit. But we do want to ask some questions that you want to know the answers to. So I'll send you some samples and what I think would be a good fit. And So my follow-up email will be to all of the board. I'll send you these slides and a PDF so you have them for reference. Some sample questions that you could use. And so you have everything you need to make your decision on. When your next board meeting is the 9th.
Yeah, October 9th.
Okay, yeah. So this would just be a topic on there and an action item. And, you know, someone would propose something that you'd have a discussion and then you go.
Do we need to have an action item for all of your list, Rob, or just kind of the beginning?
I think you would have just an action item for, you know, key decision points for the superintendent search. So it's one topic, and then during that discussion, you're gonna talk about, do we want a survey? Do we want a visitation day? What's our salary range gonna be? Whatever, I left off the questions piece, but.
Anna did. You should have said that.
I'll
I
send
just
you,
didn't know
I'll
if we
send
needed
you a
to-
copy of all this.
All of it.
I'll make sure I get all of your email addresses.
Sounds like it'd be pretty important at that next meeting to like a day to open the process and.
Well, it sounds
Yeah.
like we kind of need to have
Yeah.
a gist of all of this. That's what I was wondering. So,
When you're setting the salary range, what's your advice there? I mean, obviously, if we set a max, then any experience superintendent is going to say, oh, I obviously deserve that.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Well,
how do we bring
well,
that in?
yeah, you know, it's, there's a lot of strategy that goes into the salary range conversation. So if you set a high salary, you're gonna attract more people. And you'll probably attract people with experience. I think North Bend, they did 175, which was pretty high for their 3A district. I think pretty similar to your size, so that's kind of a high-end max range, you know, so. You kind of look at what people were making prior, what the prior contract was at. And that's a good indicator. And then also what your budget is, right? I mean, if your budget is pretty, you know, it's part of the discussion, right? Like, do we want to try to attract some, you know, someone more or less? So, you know, anywhere, I think I wouldn't go lower than 150. You know, I think, 175 might be good ceiling, 180, 185, you know, those are all the range. And there's other drivers in a contract besides salary. But those are all things that come out in a contract negotiation, so you don't necessarily have to go out in the recruitment with all those other details, because those will, when superintendents apply for jobs, they know that there's this vacation days and all these other elements that go into their overall contract, but it's the salary that will draw people initially to apply to the position. Yeah. And then, I don't know if there's internal candidates that are interested in this position as well, but we'll find out. You're about 3,000 kids, 3,500.
Yeah, so we're in between there. I'm growing at about 2% a year.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Do you have an online school?
Yes.
Is it a big one? Is it-
No.
No, it's just kind of district. Some districts house, online school. I think Mitchell has a large one.
That one used to be ours.
Okay. Not a sore subject for the chief financial.
We were quite happy to see it go.
Yeah,
We are somewhat surprised that Mitchell picked it up, but I guess that works for them.
yeah. Yeah, they're kind of pros and cons for sure. Yeah, so. How you guys feeling about this?
Yeah, it's just a lot to come up with the next board meeting. So,
Nice to have fun.
Yeah.
And that's a luxury. To be
Yeah.
able to have the advanced time to work on it, so
Mhm.
I'm sure. Yeah, okay.
thank you, Dr. Yucca, for giving us the ability to have a bunch of time.
Yes. Yes. That we're looking at a very open process for a lot of community elements, so the discussion. Would be the way we've been going.
Yeah, I think when you have this amount of time, that's what I'd recommend. Yeah, get that input, it's important. It'll be important for me to have a district contact, someone I can like, hey, I need this on the web, and I'm just assuming that's gonna be Jay. We don't know that, but,
Depends on what the question is.
yeah. But so I'll need a district internal person that I can reach out to for things I might need access to or help with. And then it's good to have a board member that I can call with, okay, this is what's going on, and that will get it to the rest of the board. So that's either board chair, or if there's someone else that wants to take that role, if that's, if it's not predetermined, I mean, if it's not someone other than I'll be the board chair, but if you decide that, hey, this one person, we want to be the point on anything that you might have, then, because it's just easier to work with one person who can get the information out to the group. But there'll be a lot of information that goes out to everyone, because I want to make sure that you're all included, you're all involved, and no one feels like, there's things happening that you're not aware of, so.
But do you have any input on the date to hire?
He said, what, by March, we want to have.
Somebody in by February, March, and give them plenty of time to make a transition, notify their district and us plan. And then, why is it, we're July first.
Yeah, July 1 start date, I mean, if you got started in the middle of November, you could finish probably by the middle of February. And you'd have,
I get that other district, get their
give the district,
Give them-
give them plenty of time to
grace to be able to
try to find
I
something.
mean, those, getting that in early would be really advantageous, because what we've seen in the past is we're in the same cycle as everybody else, and then you've got people that you're really keen on who suddenly announce, I'm gonna take the job, or they don't want to go to a second interview because they think they're gonna get a second interview with this other,
Yeah.
and it's a mess.
Mhm.
So if you get in this early, then you can head everybody else, and then you get your actual proper
Yeah.
candidate.
Yeah, that's, the strong candidate, if someone's looking to make a change, and there's a lot of reasons that people look to make changes, then they might have their hat in 2 or 3 different buckets. So, and, if you're in that, if you're the later part of the spring, you're competing with all of that. So,
Everyone, my advice is just don't fall in love with everybody. I think that's the only person I can get. You're gonna get disappointed.
yeah, you might, not everybody can be Dr. Hinkle.
And do we have options on the process of like some things being closed and some things being open?
Yeah, you have options and everything, right? So and as it goes on, like if you want to include people on the screening, that's great. If you want to include them in the interviews, you can. If you just want to do, I usually recommend that the final interview is just with the board. Because you're making a decision, so, but there may be around one interview that some other people are involved with. So that's, what I recommend is that you do a screening that includes some people, you do round 1 interviews that include some people. like different people, so more people get a chance to participate.
That's a good idea.
And then the final interview is just the board. That's, that's what I recommend, but it doesn't have to be done that way.
Just trying to get some other ideas.
Yeah.
Couldn't think of any. So,
Yeah.
okay.
I've got a board meeting in 5 minutes that I get to, so I just didn't wind it down, and then head to the next one.
Nice to meet you all. Thank you for
Yes.
selecting up for, there'll be another 1 or 2 people that work with me, so, you'll get lots of support, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Get your marks.
We'll do that, and build your timeline and.
And Jay, do you want to send out the wording for what you mentioned, that what groups are supposed to be represented, or yeah, can you send us what the wording
Yep.
of those groups are, so we know
You bet.
if we choose to do open, like Scott had suggested, who needs to be involved? And I know you said one contract has the wording, another contract doesn't, so, and I'm not too familiar with that.
And both associations, CCEA and OCA, have both asked to be involved in the process.
Can you just send it
Yep.
out then? And check all those boxes too, so. Okay.
Steve's not going to the listening session tonight. Who is?
Cheyenne. Yeah, Cheyenne and Jennifer. So,
Jan, I'm changing it. I don't actually wasn't even sure that I did actually.
it's like,
Do something.
okay, so any other questions for Rob? Yeah, Jay, Dr. Yucca, any questions? Okay, let's make sure to add this action item though to our agenda for October. Dr. Yucca, if you put on the list for Nikki, you can add that in. So we get a timeline lined out for Rob. And get ahead of the curve.
So we should be very happy with that. Yeah, timing of everything.
That's excited, it seems like for this round, so, okay,
It was good that you have me out early, and made your decision early, so.
yeah, well, that was, thanks to Scott, he was definitely the leader of the ship, this go around, because he's done this time or two, so.
This will be the best yet, I'm sure. All
Okay.
interesting.
So just to follow up, we do have the community listening session with Dr. Yucca, Vice Chair Jennifer Knight and Cheyenne Edgerly here at the district office just after this meeting. Is that at 6:30? Starts at 6:30 and we will adjourn this meeting. Okay.